Alright, well, we're going to get finished up here pretty quick. Got all the diff parts cleaned up, the diffs cleaned up, ready to go. Free of all oil and metal grit and grime and those kind of things. And so what we're going to start with is we're going to get the what started all this, the axle bearings and then the axle seals installed, and then we're going to move on to the pinion, get the pinion seal installed, get the pinion repair, this pinion seal repair kit installed on the pinion flange, and move on. So let's quit talking about it, start doing it. These are the side bearings, or the axle bearings. They're considerably smaller than the carrier bearings, very noticeably different. And basically the shaft that runs in, the half shafts run through here, and just there's a bearing load on them. And so these go in here. I'm using a driver. This one happens to be 44.5 millimeters, not by design. That's what I got, and it fits. So we'll tap these down. They're going in. It's going in. So let me like to make sure there's no damage being done, of course. And these just, the area where they ride is larger than the actual bearing, so I just kind of split the difference between them. It's clear the shims on that side, it's clear the seal on this side. So we're good. Spins well, and we'll put a little bit of oil on those later. And then the next thing we're going to install is the pinion seal, excuse me, the axle seal. We're going to do the axle seal a little like we did the inside pinion bearing race. We're going to put this away first. We're going to grab this one, which is a 59 millimeter. We're going to put on backwards and just use this flat side to drive the seal down in. Now these are Timken seals, in case you're looking for it. There's the number right there, 714569. And these are the side axle seals. So metal in first, and then we'll start to tap this little guy in there. And this has a seat where it's going to sit. It's pretty much will be flush right there. Be flush with the housing when it's done. So axle seals in, axle bearings in. The other side, I just put it in just before I got you guys online with me, and yeah, I think we're good. Don't see any issues here that cause us any problems. So let's get on and work on the pinion seal. There's a pinion area, I should say. All right, now we're going to put in our pinion seal. Before we put the pinion seal in, we want to put the bearing, the outer pinion bearing, and the oil wiper. So those are trapped by the pinion seal. We're going to go ahead and pour a little oil on this bearing just to give it a little pre-lubrication, since we unlubricated everything. This is the oil that we're going to be running in this diff, which is a Castrol 80W90 limited slip. We're also going to be using a viscosity modifier as well. Alright, so we're good there. Put in the oil slinger, and we're going to put on the seal. And we're going to use a 76 millimeter driver It's basically upside down from the way you would use it to drive a race or a bearing, just using as a flat surface driver. There we go. Walk around it, double check it, make sure it's down good. That's a Pinion Seal, similar to the Pinion side seals, but Pinion Seal obviously. So this end is pretty much ready to go. One thing I want to do before I go further, the intent is this is the last install. And as the last install, we want to have everything 100%. We're not going to take anything back apart. So what I need to do is I need to grab our pinion flange, and we're going to install this Pinion Seal flange repair kit, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's going to refresh the surface of the seal area on the flange. And let me get the flange and I'll get right back with you. I hope I can get this to where you can see it. It may be difficult. There's a line just on that seal surface, and that line is where the seal runs, the lip of the seal runs. Over enough miles, it can literally cut into the metal. I can hang my finger down that little line. So that means it's going to cause us to have challenges with sealing with the new Pinion Seal and this pinion flange. So what you do is you can buy one of these, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to put this very, very thin piece of metal down over to refresh that surface. So we'll be wearing against this piece of metal. So we're going to set that on. This is the driver cap that comes with it. And then we're just going to begin tapping it on. Let me set it down over here. Apologies. I know you can't see, but this part isn't rocket science at all. Not that any of it is. I'm just walking around that cap, and there it is. Literally not a lot to it. So now you can see the line right there. Right, and then this is a renewed surface, ready to go. Give us a good pinion seal. It's pretty much the same level all the way around. So that's ready to be installed. Okay, now that that's on there, we've got this bearing lubed, oil slingers in place. What we need to do now is grab the pinion gear, and we want to install a crush sleeve. Here's the crush sleeve, and as we tighten this up, the sleeve is just simply going to collapse, bulge out more here in the center where it's already bulged, and it's going to hold that tension, that preload for us over the miles. So this goes between the inner and outer bearing, and it rides here on the pinion in this little spot. So we need to be sure that's on. I didn't mention it, but we pressed on this pinion bearing with the 26 thousandths shim down inside. So we'll oil this thing and stick it up in there. Okay, so we've seated the outer sealing surface against the pinion seal, of the pinion flange against the pinion seal. So we're going to go ahead and stick this up in there, and we're going to make sure we have our axle nut, and we're going to go ahead and give this thing a tighten up, and then let the fun begin. Find it collapsing this crush sleeve. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Alright. Okay, well, we're going to get on with this. Draw this thing up. And honestly, you don't need to waste your time watching, but we're going to use the impact till it gets close. And then we're going to sit here and grind out with long breaker bars the tightening of this thing to a reasonable preload, at least the start of the preload. And then we'll let you join us again. It's just going to be a lot of work. Well, let me tell you what a pain this has been. When we set up the pinion originally, we did it without a crush sleeve. There's no need in doing it with a crush sleeve at that point. So now we've got a new pinion nut, new crush sleeve, everything, put everything back together with the new bearing pressed on, the shim in place, all those goodies. And man, the amount of force required to crush this sleeve is absolutely ridiculous. We took it down as far as we could with impact, as far as we felt like we dare, and it just stopped. It just stopped going at all, and there was still even play left in the pinion flange, so we move up and down. There still was a crush sleeve needed crushed. I tried to crush it with long bars here and on the nut, and we're talking 24-inch breakers like this size, and man, it just would not. I just didn't have the beans to do it. And so we went back to the impact, and ever so slowly, my weak little impact has very slowly brought it down. So we're getting there, but I'm gonna tell you, the crush sleeve, this crush sleeve is ridiculous. Got so bad at one point I was concerned something was not made up right. I took it all back apart, checked the pinion, everything's fine, which now means I also got to put a new nut on here. So if I've not over torqued the crush sleeve, so I don't have to replace the crush sleeve. But once I get this thing very close to the right torque, I'm going to replace this pinion nut. The pinion nut is self Loctiting, I guess you'd say. In some cases they're oblong. That's what this one was. The other one I have, which I've bought now to replace this one, I think it's going to be more of a Loctite situation. If I got it here, but it's been a lot tougher than I expected it to be. But we're almost there now. A couple of observations. Well, here's the new pinion nut, and I think the intent here, this one does not look oblong or have that flattened section. So I think this is just intended to be a Loctite material. Here's the pinion nut part number if you happen to need it, and 720A961, and this one's made by, I can't remember now, sorry, Power Torque. It's Power Torque part. Anyway, so a couple of observations, things to note. Before I had full makeup on the pinion, I noticed resistance. Not a ridiculous amount of resistance, but some resistance all the same. And so I got to looking, and that resistance came from where the seal is rubbing on the pinion area, no problem. But I went ahead and measured it, and we're going to account for it. So we set the pinion preload. We're going to add to it the base load, the base torque that was there just from rubbing against the seal. That was about 3.5 inch-pounds. So our final spec, we're going to go to our final spec plus 3.5 inch-pounds, which our goal is about 19 inch-pounds. So we're going to aim for about 22, 23 inch-pounds of torque measure to get the right preload on the pinion. So we're getting close now. We're up to about, I think it was 11 foot-pounds right now. About 1 point, it's almost 1.5 pounds, 7.75 inches away from the center pivot. So we're getting close. I'm going to go ahead and finish setting the preload, and basically that just involves a long breaker bar here, and I'm still using the impact to actually set the preload, but I'm going to do it very little at a time, very carefully. The air compressor runs off and on. You don't need to see me struggle or hear all that. Just know crushing this crush sleeve is a huge task, and one that you must be very careful with. Luckily, it turns so little with the impact that I think we'll be able to sneak up on the preload pretty easily. Just going to take a number of iterations, off and on, measure, tighten it, measure, tighten it, measure, tighten it. We don't want to go back and have to crush another crush sleeve. Wow. That I don't want to do. So let's see if we can get this thing to the right setting. Well, I'm glad to report we're at about 2 pounds 14 ounces, which, if I do my math right, let's see, whoops, it's 14 divided by 16, that gives us ounces to pounds. There you go. And then add 2 pounds to that. It tells us we've got 2.875 pounds times the distance, 7.75 inches. And that gives us 22.3 inch pounds of preload. Now, inch pounds of torque measured. If we subtract the 3.5 ish inch pounds that we measured with the seal rubbing against the pinion flange, that puts us right at 19 foot-pounds. 19 foot-pounds is perfect in my book. Yukon suggests 14 to 19. Ford suggests 16 to 28. 19 is good by me. It's pretty stiff, but we don't set the specs, we obey them. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to remove this pinion nut. I'm going to replace it with the new pinion nut, get it snug back down, recheck preload, and hopefully this pinion will be installed. Well, now that we're happy with the pinion, we set the carrier down in. And one thing I did do is I went ahead and I moved about 3 thousandths, moved the carrier about 3 thousandths this way, which should give us another thousandth, maybe probably 2 thousandths of additional backlash. We were on the edge at 6 and 7, so hopefully this puts us around 9 or 9.5, something like that. So we're going to go ahead and bolt on our bearing hooks, and then we're going to torque them, and then we'll double check our backlash one more time. And if the backlash looks as we expect it will, we're going to go ahead and double check our gear pattern one more time, and then we're going to call it finished. 3 seals in, 2 axle bearings in, carrier bearings, pinion bearings, preloads, backlash. Yeah, we ought to be getting close. Torque these monsters down, and we'll do some checking on backlash. I apologize already. I'm probably not going to see this, but I'm going to read you the numbers anyway. There it's at 11. There it's at 2. It's 11 and 2. Basically, I have 9 thousandths of backlash, which is perfect. Yukon's goal 6 to 10. Ford's goal 8 to 12. We're good. Let's go see what our gear pattern is going to look like now. Okay, I'll have to turn this thing up on its side just to try to hopefully get you a better view of the pattern when it comes out. So we're in the gear now, forward and backward, and coming out. And I like it. Hang on just a second, let me move this and I'll show you. Okay, apologize in advance for holding the camera. Never goes well, shaky and old. So here's the drive side. On the drive side, you can see pretty good engagement. A little bit toward the toe, mostly centered up. See that fairly well here. And on the coast side, slightly toward the toe, though not all the way, and a big chunk of it right through the middle. So we're thrilled. Never thought it would even go this good. Other than that crush sleeve, it's gone well. All right, let me put this thing back on the tripod. And so we're done. Really the only thing left to do here is to put the back cover on it. As I understand it anyway, the dye or the gear paint is fine. Not a problem to have it on there. So we're going to go ahead, next thing I guess, and take this off the fixture, put the back plate on it, and then install in our IRS. If you're interested in seeing anything more, I'm not going to cover any more here, but if you're interested in seeing anything more, check out our 1951 Ford F1 Rebuild series. That's what it's going into. And we're just about finished up, basically disassembling, painting, refurbishing the whole IRS subframe and rear structure of the truck. And pretty soon we'll have the back end done and we'll move on to other things. So we're done. Ford 8.8 inch IRS rear diff, rebuilt, new gears, 355. Nice. Everything seems to fit nice. It is quite a chore. There's a reason that they charge a fair amount to rebuild these things commercially. But I don't regret it a bit. It's always fun to learn. And it's going to be fun to be able to say, I did it myself. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.